movie versus we're called the
M.
M.V.M. podcast.
Let me think this.
Where am I? Hold on.
Wait, what's your name again?
Who are you people? Oh, take me back to the hospital. Okay, all right, for real this time. Ready?
Okay, yeah.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
They could be anybody's. Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired.
Put the bat down, Wendy.
Stop it!
Wendy, give me the bat.
Wait! Billy!
Give me the bat.
Stop it!
Give me the bat.
Please!
Stop swinging the bat.
Wait, stop!
Give me the bat.
Billy!
Ready?
Stop!
Give me the bat. Give me the bat.
God damn!
What's up, guys? It is Carly here, bringing you episode number 4 of the M.V.M. podcast. Horror podcast, that is, because apparently I don't know what the heck I'm talking about here. But anyway, we are back once again. Of course, as always, I am joined by my wonderful companion, Austin. Austin, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing just wonderful, and, I think we got, from what I heard, from the feedback that we got, we did a pretty good job on our last episode, so that is good to hear that people, enjoyed our kind of little experiment that we did. So, we will definitely, continue to, do those types of episodes in the future. How are you doing?
I'm doing alright, and yeah, I agree. Like, it seems like people have dug all our ideas so far, and really we've been just kind of rolling with it and trying to kind of think outside the box and come up with something different for every episode. You know, you don't want to just keep doing like remake versus original and the sequel versus first one. We try to like just keep on, we're kind of just like rolling with it, like I said, and making up stuff as we go along here, and so far I'm really digging it, and as long as the people like what we do, we'll of course do more episodes, sort of like the year versus year one and so on. So it's nice to get the feedback. We definitely appreciate that. But yeah, I've been doing all right. I just saw Us the other day, and I know you, as I was going to say, I know you did too. So, and honestly, I wasn't blown away by it like other people were, and I know you pretty much were from what I hear, and but the more I think about it, the more I feel like I might actually like it more, and that's actually a rarity for me, because usually I'm very dead set in my ways when I like a film or don't like a film, but that's kind of one I keep thinking about, and I feel like I need to give a rewatch to, but I thought it was okay. It was entertaining for what it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend a rewatch. She kind of mentioned already, I was, like, really, really blown away by this movie. You know, of course, love Jordan Peele's last movie, Get Out, of course. And yeah, I honestly like this one a bit better. I thought it was a possibility just because I really, thought the premise of the movie was cool, and I thought the trailers looked amazing for this film. So so going into it, I had really high expectations, and yeah, they definitely met them. So glad I actually got a really good theater experience with this. There's only a couple other people um, in the theater with us, and they were quiet the entire time, so that was cool. Um, yeah, me and my brother both really, really enjoyed it. We took our mom with us too, and she was confused the entire time. I tried to say it too loudly 'cause she's in the other room, and she didn't want me to tell anybody else.
Now everyone
Now
who listens.
everybody knows. So.
Yeah, that's good.
Well,
But
to be fair though, like I've heard a lot of people are confused about stuff about the movie. So I mean.
oh, believe me, if my mom would have no idea what's going on if she watched a movie like this. You really need to spoon feed her stuff.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like with Get Out, I felt like that was more of an in-your-face type of movie where, yeah, it had underlying meanings to it too, but like the general thing that's going on and a lot of the little Easter eggs in it were very obvious. And then this one's a little more, you kind of have to think a little bit outside the box and kind of like I said, I've been kind of thinking about it for a few days and like thinking of stuff I might have missed and how certain things make sense that might not have while I was taking it in the first time. So I definitely think it's one that needs a rewatch. I will say the theater I went to, it was like a really big theater, the one that they played it on. The place like has smaller theaters and then they have like this massive ones, and it was in the massive one, and it was pretty much almost sold out. There was like so many people in there, so I'm glad that it has done well, and it's another success for Mr. Peel, because I do think he does a pretty good job with these movies. One thing about Us I will say is like I felt like it was really high on the comedy,
Yeah.
and the whole audience was just like cracking up through most of the movie, which was almost a little annoying because it's like they were kind of laughing even at parts that could have been creepy, so that kind of almost made it feel like I came to see a funny movie rather than horror. So, but yeah, I thought it was all right. I mean, the people I went with definitely didn't care for it. That I went with some old coworkers who went with us to see Get Out when that came out, and they said they preferred Get Out, but JP at the time, he was a little confused too, I know, but I know he kind of came around on it and he really likes it now. So, totally one I need to give a rewatch to.
Yeah, that's funny because the people in our theater were doing the same thing, like laughing at like the noises the doppelgangers were making and stuff like that. Like they're just laughing at stuff. I was like, it's not supposed to be funny, but whatever.
Yeah, that's like the creepy. That was like actually creepy.
Yeah.
Like when that woman starts, not to give a full length review on Us, but it's like that woman starts talking, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so creepy. Everyone's like busting out laughing, and I'm like, no guys, this is like actually
No,
this is the horror part.
Yeah.
Calm down. So.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's like so many little things in that movie that you just really gotta pay attention to it. I mean, me and my brother like in the entire car ride home, we're just talking about like little things that we noticed, and we were just like, wow, like it's really, really it's really impressive. Like once you like notice like all the stuff that Peel put in the movie to like symbolize something or be a metaphor for something else, and yeah, it's really, really crazy. But yeah, definitely if you haven't seen it, I'm sure we don't have to tell anybody to go see it. I'm sure everybody's going to. Everybody probably already has. I mean, it broke, I think, the box office record for opening weekend for a horror film, I believe.
Nice.
So yeah, definitely go see it though if you haven't seen it. It's a probably, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's my number one of the year at the end of the year. It's just how much I loved it. It's kind of depressing though, because like I usually I'm like waiting till the end of the year to find that movie I fall in love with, and I got that already, and knowing that like maybe not any other movie the rest of the year will live up to that. It's kind of depressing to think about that, but there's a stacked lineup the rest of the year, so I'm quite sure there'll be many other heavy hitters, but yeah, gonna be tough to beat Us for me for number one of the year. I also saw, I know you mentioned it last episode, but I saw Greta in theaters as well.
Oh, okay.
Which surprisingly, like we saw like the last weekend it was out, and surprisingly, like we went to Greensburg, and it was like 3/4 of the way filled, which I was like, the theater, and I was
Dang.
like, yeah, that's really weird. But yeah, it was a cool movie. I was really digging like the first two acts, and I thought the third act got kind of messy, but it's really well made. I always dig those type of stalker like type premises like that, so I thought it was a cool movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one as well. I mean, looking back, it's not the most original film. Definitely, it's very reminiscent of like those '90s invading your life movies, such as Single White Female or Hand that Rocks a Cradle, those types of films. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one too. And that's funny you went the last week because I haven't gone the last week for a film since and so long, ever since I started getting involved in like the horror groups and everything. I feel like you're not cool if you don't see something opening night nowadays. So it's such a weird thing. It's like I have anxiety if I don't go see a movie right away.
I have I have anxiety about Pet Sematary because I have avoided the spoiler in the trailer
Oh,
for I haven't heard it yet, and I'm just so afraid when I go to see it, someone's going to talk about it while I'm in the theater. I'll be so fucking pissed.
you know something though, dude? Like I think the spoiler is more of a big deal to us as horror fans than it would be. I bet like no one in the public, even if they saw the original, read the book and all that, I bet no one actually kind of processes that and cares enough to think like, oh my God, they ruined this movie with that. Can you believe that? So, because I was like telling some coworkers at work, because I did unfortunately see the trailer, and I was kind of like, oh my, because one of them brought up, they're like, oh, I want to see that new Child's Play and that new Pet Cemetery. It looks so scary, and I was like, yeah, but they completely ruined it with the trailer. I was outraged. And then they were like, just tell us why, because we don't care about spoilers or anything. And I told them, and they were confused on what the heck I even was talking about. So it's just one of those things where only we as hardcore fans would care. So
Yeah.
I think you'll be safe up until that point.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I just don't know like what kind of level of spoiler we're talking about here. I don't know if it's like ruins like the end of the movie or something. I don't know, but like I'm not like, see, I'm not like the huge. I really really like the original one, but it's not one of my all-time favorites. I should say that. So
Yeah,
like, so
me
to me,
too.
like if it's something they changed up, I honestly really don't care that much if I would have found out beforehand, but I don't know. I'm just trying to avoid it nonetheless, so,
Yeah, it's like I definitely don't care about it. It would have been cool to see it unravel on the screen. So, but yeah, like you said, this isn't like a new Friday the 13th or anything like that I'm gonna jump for joy over. I've only seen the original Pet Cemetery, like honestly once or twice, if I'm being completely honest. So it's not a major deal. It's a good movie, but I am very curious about this remake.
yeah, and ironically, talking about, when we were talking about Us, I said, that's, could be my number one of the year. I also watched a movie that could very well be my least favorite movie of the year.
Whoa.
I was just scanning the internet, and I came across this movie I think it was called Night, I think so, and it was like this found footage movie. It was like, the cover of it looked kind of cool, so I was like, it's a random movie, whatever. I couldn't really find any reviews for it, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, it is really fucking bad. Like, just, the premise of it is just so boring. It's just like this dude who just kidnaps this chick and just, like, tortures her on this live stream, and it's like that the entire movie.
Oh.
I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, there's nothing to this. Like, this is terrible, and the acting's terrible. There's like obvious like horrible sound effects putting in for like punching and stuff like that. It's horrific. Like, it's terrible.
Oh my god, dude.
It probably will be my least favorite of the year, but
Um,
it was bad.
I'm like cracking up because I actually received an email about a week ago, and it was the director of that film
Oh my.
asking me if I would review his movie, and I haven't watched it yet or anything, but I said like, all right, sure, like try to give it a watch, and then I'll probably eventually make a YouTube review of it for you. And he was like, thank you so much. Like I said, I haven't watched it yet, but just reading the premise, I thought like, okay, this looks short, and it seems like it could potentially be all right, but but now I'm like terrified. I might still just check it out since I kind of did tell that guy like, hey, I'll do this for you to help you out, and I'm kind of a woman of my word with that
Yeah.
type of stuff. But oh my god, that's the second time I've been tricked. I let that guy, that stupid Camp Death, whatever that movie's called, in 2D,
I
3D,
remember that,
whatever.
yeah.
I let that guy trick me too, because I get all pumped. I'm like, wow, I'm like kind of legit now. These people are reaching out to me, but in reality, they're reaching out to everyone because their movies suck.
Pretty
No
much.
offense.
Yeah,
I mean, they're hustlers. I give them that for trying to get their movie watched and get reviews of it done, but just like make better movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's
It
effort put into this movie, so I'll give it that. But it's bad. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
it's just really bad. I mean, there's literally a 10-minute scene of just the dude like following the girl right behind her, right before he kidnaps her. It's like 10 minutes long. It's ridiculous. Like I'm like, is he gonna kidnap her? What the fuck's gonna? He just follows her right behind her for like 10 minutes. I'm just like, what the fuck? What was the purpose of making it so long? Like, it just shows you like he didn't have enough content to fill, because it's such a short movie, and he really had to drag certain stuff out because he didn't have enough content because there's nothing to the movie. So,
Did you give a rating for that?
I don't think I rated it on Letterboxd yet, but it'd probably be like a fucking 2.5 or something. It
Oh
was
my
fucking
gosh.
awful. And I'm a fan of found footage movies too, but no, not this one.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. So I did watch some stuff on Shudder as well too, but I won't talk too much about those other than that Basket Case fucking sucks.
Oh my god, everyone was coming at you. I really need to, like I said, I haven't watched it yet. I know JP speaks highly of it, and he's seen it probably 4 times in the past 3 years and all that. But like I said, they're actually coincidentally playing that at the drive-in that I'm sure some people see JP and I go to pretty much every year at this point. It's kind of our tradition now, and they play 4 horror movies per night at this all-night drive-in. It's a one-screen drive-in, and then they do it for 2 nights. And one of the nights, Basket Case, is one of the featured films, so that'll be my first experience with the movie. Now, I will say at these drive-ins, I kind of struggle sometimes to pay attention to the film because I'm busy being distracted by talking or eating, or sometimes it rains and it's hard to pay attention to the film, so might have to give it a rewatch after that, but we'll see. I am going to try to pay attention to that one, though, because I'm curious to see if I'm on your side or if I'm on pretty much everyone else's
Yeah,
side
like,
with
to
it.
me, it's like, it's not even one of those films where I can say, like, it's just not my cup of tea, but I know it's a good movie. Like, there are plenty of films, like, I'm on board with that. Like, plenty of movies I'm just like, yeah, it's a great movie, it's just not my, it's just not my cup of tea, so I just don't really care for it. Like, it's just a shitty movie. Like, it's just, like, really bad. Like, it was, like, boring, and, like, the acting was bad, and, like, it wasn't, like, fun either. That was the thing that was, like, it reminded me of, like, a really shitty made, like, 80s slasher, like, really bad effects, with, like, all the fun taken out of it. And I was just like, wow, like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah.
definitely. It sounds like to me it's probably a guilty pleasure type of film for.
Everybody loves it, though. It's, like, a fucking cult classic or something. I'm just like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that one, so I'll have to get back to everybody on my thoughts.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think if I've really watched anything. Pretty much I haven't really had time to watch. I keep like having to do stuff after work or like at night, and then by the time I get home, I have to wake up early so I don't put anything on, or I do put something on and I keep falling asleep and having to finish it the next night. So kind of sucks because I have so many movies piled up, and then, eh. But I've been watching 72 movies, and that's pretty much what I've been occupying my time with. And then obviously movies that come to theaters. So I did watch. I went to see Climax. It was like a one of those very limited releases in the theaters. It was playing at the Waterfront around here, and that one I would just say was crazy. It was wild. Definitely not for everyone. It was for me though. I really enjoyed it. But I feel like a lot of people would probably be bored by it or just not get it, or it's just very out there and interesting. But I don't know if you would like it, Austin, or not. I think it's by the guy who made Mother, and I didn't like Mother at all. So no, wrong guy.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I was gonna say I would have heard.
I think-
I definitely would have heard if he was coming out in the movie because I do.
No, I think, you know what, I think JP just like compared this movie to that guy's movies, and that's why I thought that.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It's very out there. I would recommend checking it out, but I do feel like some people would hate it. I, for one, really enjoyed it and was pretty mesmerized by it. People did walk out of the theater during it. People walked out of the theater during us as well. That was like weird. That was like a double whammy because it's been a while since I've seen people just get up and leave a theater, and I saw it like twice in a row. It was kind of a weird occurrence, but other than that, I really haven't watched much of anything of importance.
Well, you're gonna watch Night here soon, so.
You just like terrified me with that. You're like you're describing it. You said the title, and I thought, oh, maybe it's not that movie. And then you went into the details, and I was like, it's 100% that movie.
Yes.
So.
I do see one other review for it up on Letterboxd, and it is from Don Anelli. So I mean, you can't really always trust the Don with his reviews, but he is pretty spot on with this one. He gave it one star. So.
Nice, very nice. But anyway, I mean, that's about it for me. You have anything else you want to mention before we get into the feature reviews up in here?
No, I'm good.
All right, well, without further ado, guys, we are here tonight to discuss two anthology, I almost said anthology, but anthology flicks. Not only that, but they are two Hood anthology flicks.
Which
yes.
you know are 2 of 3 films that I'm aware of. I'm pretty sure there's only three Hood-themed anthologies in existence.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too, because when, like Austin kind of suggested we do the one, and then he had like another idea, but then I was kind of looking stuff up, and I thought, let's try to like make this more themed out, and then I was trying to find other Hood movies, and this was the only other one that popped up, and I kind of knew this would be, like I knew this was a Hood anthology film, but I was kind of hoping that something else might come up as well, but I'm pretty sure this is the only other one besides the sequel to the other one we're doing. So there's plenty of Hood movies out there and plenty of anthologies, but when you mix the two together, you get these 3 movies. But anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about the classic Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror, and then some other film called Tales from the Hood. So,
AKA Tales from the Hood's gonna win, and here's why.
Well, once again, guys,
I picked Tales from the Hood, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of made that all clear with
Just
the
wanna
way I
make it
described things.
perfectly clear for everybody.
Yeah, so Austin picked that one. Like I said, I was trying to make things more themed out here. We could have done 2 like epic popular anthologies such as Creepshow or Tales from the Crypt even, or something like that, but I wanted to be a little creative here, so I went with Hood of Horror. I had never seen this one before, nor had I seen Tales from the Hood, so definitely interesting, different first-time watches with these 2.
Yeah, I mean, Hood of Horror was the first time watch for me as well, and I can't believe you said classic and Snoop Dogg in the same sentence.
I can't. It
Blows
actually
my
hurt.
mind.
I did it to be funny, obviously, but I almost choked trying to get it out. So yeah. But yeah. So which one you want to talk about
Yeah,
first here? I think.
definitely need to go with Hood of Horror first, I think.
Oh man. But yeah. I mean, yay, that's my pick.
Yay.
All right. So Hood of Horror from the year 2006 here. This is essentially. I'll just read the IMDb thing here. You
IMDb.
have what?
IMDb. It's IMDb.
Oh,
Mm.
very, very creative. I thought you were like glitching out. I was like, oh, I'll stop.
Thought I was having
Um,
a seizure.
yeah, mid pod. Anyway, What of Horror, a hip hop horror anthology of three tales of terror told by the Hound of Hell that revolve around the residents of an inner city neighborhood whose actions determine where they will go in the afterlife. So.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it does try to be pretty, deep with what they're doing, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
Uh, it's like determining if they're good or bad in life and where they're going to end up. But so yeah, you have these three little shorts going on here, and then you also have the beginning intro, which is actually pretty interesting. I mean, it kind of enthralled me right away because I thought it wasn't too bad. It's kind of this animated introduction, and I just thought it was kind of fun little way to open up the film. So right away, I was kind of worried about this movie, kind of dreading it in a way that it was going to be horrible because I didn't know what to expect. But I thought the intro was pretty all right, to open up your movie and kind of get you interested.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably my favorite thing about this movie. Now, yeah, I was like really, really dreading watching this movie. Honestly, like when you the regular title is called Hood of Horror, but it has the tag. Everybody calls it Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror.
Mhm.
And obviously you hear that title and you're just like, what the fuck is this gonna be? Like, it's just gonna be stupid and ridiculous. And it kind of surprised me because for one, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, and two, like it actually takes itself like pretty seriously throughout the movie. Like I was like really surprised at how not retarded this movie was.
I know. I totally expected a total joke, and
Mhm.
it was going to be a complete comedy. Which, I mean, it's considered a horror comedy, but the ideas around the stories, as I said, are supposed to be serious. Like, oh, you're going to hell because of your actions in real life. So I was kind of surprised by that. You also have like some actors who are notable in this film, which was
Yeah,
also surprising.
Danny Trejo, which he's in every low budget shitty movie, so
True.
you see.
But I guess, yeah. Um, but so in general, what do you think about these stories that we get in this film?
Um, so yeah, like you said, like the opening like animation part of this movie was actually pretty cool, even though like the animation for it actually like sucked. Like it looked pretty bad, but it's actually like cool, like the story they tell. I honestly wish that would have been one of the stories. It's a really, really cool like story of how like he accidentally kills his sister and goes to the devil to bring her back to life basically, and he has to serve him basically for eternity. Um, and that's Snoop Dogg's character throughout the movie. But like, yeah, I thought that was like a cool story. I did really, I would say really like I liked the first story as well. I believe with like the chick, like she gets that like tattoo and she can like cause other people's deaths after that.
Hmm.
I thought that one was pretty alright. I thought it was a cool idea and everything. And then from there, I honestly just kind of started like all the stories after that for me were pretty uninteresting and just like really nothing memorable about it. But one thing like you did kind of mention before is like pretty much this entire movie is about you know, all these stories revolve around these characters could have done the right thing, but they don't. And then Snoop Dogg, brings them to that's so retarded to say that. Snoop Dogg drags them to hell.
That's like the worst. That's like one of the worst things about this movie. I forget. I think it's after the first short. Yeah, like a character dies, and then Snoop Dogg's kind of just standing in the background. He's supposed to look all menacing.
Like,
and,
dude, you're Snoop Dogg.
It's so lame. It just looks so lame. He's supposed to be the crypt keeper type of guy throughout this movie, and it just comes off as pretty lame. But
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. The first one is probably the most entertaining. I wouldn't say I was bored by the two other little ones, main ones that you get here. The second one, which is titled The Scum Lord, I actually enjoyed that one because I don't know if you've ever seen the original Tales from the Crypt from the 70s, like the actual
No, I
movie,
haven't.
but there's a short in that one that this kind of reminds me of where I believe it's the last short actually, where there's a home for blind people and it kind of gets overtaken by this guy. He's supposed to be running the place and he's like not feeding them enough and he's not really taking care of them and he's a total pretty much dickhead, and that's kind of what this short was reminiscent of for me, so I did enjoy it. I kind of thought the last one with the rapper and him being confronted by all the stuff he did, I kind of thought that was kind of lame and probably the least memorable, but yeah, overall, I would say I was surprised, though. I wasn't bored by the film, really. I didn't think, kind of like you said, anything super standoutish or worth really giving a rewatch. I would probably never really run back to this movie unless I had another reason to, like a podcast or any reason to give it a review again, I guess. But and I don't own this one either, so not one that I would really seek out. But I was surprised by what I got overall. I thought it took itself serious, and I thought the shorts were well done and well told for what they were.
Yeah, there's nothing offensively bad about this movie, which again is really surprising. I'm really surprised there's no like pot smoking in this movie. Like, it's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was expecting a lot of pot smoking. I was expecting this to be basically a stoner movie.
Me too.
Which it's not, surprisingly. It actually like tries to be pretty serious, horror film overall. There's definitely is some like effort put into this, and like none of the stories were really bad for me. I didn't like watch this movie and was like just like completely like tormented watching this movie or something like that. But like towards the end of the movie, I was checking the time to see when it was over. So that's not really a good sign. I was kind of wanting the movie to end. So yeah, not the best sign for me. But like it's pretty inoffensive. That's what I'll say. Like, that's basically, like, the best thing I could say about the movie. It's, like, nothing, it's not, like, as bad as what you think it is. It's just, you could watch it and, not be too upset about yourself afterwards.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're wasting your time, I wouldn't say, or anything. So, if you're into these hood films, I know, like, JP has a freaking collection of just hood horror movies. I do think it's worth a watch. It's a fun little movie, I suppose, but it's definitely just not memorable. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of. It also has Lynn Shay in it. I forgot about that. She's like at the end of the film.
Yeah,
good old Lynn Shay. That was like the most surprising person to see in this film, I think, because it just seemed like. I know she's in a lot of random horror movies, but it just seemed like something she wouldn't be in. But anyway, I mean, that's.
Yeah,
There's really not much.
I did think the song at the end was pretty cool. Snoop Dogg's song for the
good old.
credits roll.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg. You could tell he made up the majority of the score going on here. But yeah, I always forget. I always say I forget Snoop Dogg's actually a rapper, and that was supposed to be his main claim to fame because I feel like he's done so much reality TV and just random movies and just random stuff in general that you don't really. I don't take him seriously as being a rapper. I kind of just see him as this joke of a person, but I can't. I mean, I can't lie. Like his songs aren't that bad in this
Yeah.
movie, at least. I don't really know his other work, um, but yeah, there's not really much else to say on this one, I would say.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have on it. I think probably the reason I got kind of burnt out by the end is like all the themes for like every story are the same. Like like you don't do the right thing. If you do the wrong thing, this is what's gonna happen. And that's pretty much the same thing for all of them. And it's kind of like, we wish they would have switched things up and made it a little bit different, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I sure wouldn't want Snoop Dogg dragging me to hell. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, he was trying to make a centralized theme there, and that was supposed to be, I guess you could say, the quote-unquote wraparound was, oh, these people, they use their powers for the bad. So, I give him credit for that, but I definitely see what you mean. It's kind of one of the reasons why it's so forgettable.
Yeah, so, I guess we is ready to move on to the next one.
All right, that wasn't too painful. Okay, so we're going to move along to Tales from the Hood from the year 1995. That actually surprises me. For some reason, I always thought this was an 80s film. So I think I just now realized this was from 1995 before we recorded. I didn't even pay attention whenever I was watching it or anything. But so 95, we have Tales from the Hood and the good old Umdaba. There we go. Umdaba. Yeah, I did it good. Okay. So the Umdaba plot here we have is a funeral director tells 4 strange tales of horror with an African-American focus to 3 drug dealers he traps in his place of business.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he does. So, as I said, this was a first-time watch for me. It's one that people have bothered me to watch for quite some time now, and they're always like, hey, don't be fooled by the extremely dumb title. I know it sounds like a joke, but it's actually a pretty serious and well-made film, and I'm always like, I'll take your word for it, but I never really jumped on it or felt like I would really be interested in it, because honestly, I'm just not into the whole hood theme of movies in general. That's just not really my, I guess, cup of tea there. So, and anthologies are okay sometimes if I'm in the mood for them, but overall it just didn't seem like something I'd be into whether it was good or not, so I kind of put it off. And then, you said we should do it for the podcast, so that finally gave me an excuse to watch it, and I am pretty glad that I did, because you have, I believe this one has, 4 shorts,
Yep.
and then a wraparound, and shorts are all pretty different, but they still have the underlying, or I guess not really underlying, but the main focus is it's dealing with sort of African Americans and some issues that they face. And the wraparound is, I will say, definitely pretty solid as well. Definitely better than what you're getting with Hood of Horror, where you just have Snoop Dogg going around being Snoop Dogg. So
Snoop being Snoop.
Yeah. Yeah, but what are your thoughts on this, Austin? I know you don't really care for this movie too much.
Yeah, that's why I picked it for the podcast. I basically picked this specifically so you could watch this, because I knew you didn't watch before, and I feel this is a movie that everybody needs to watch, every horror fan, especially, because this is one that I've seen multiple times, and I kind of have a little bit of nostalgia for this one. I know my brother showed me this movie like way back in the day, probably like in the mid-2000s, and I think it was like on the computer or something. And like I always like vividly remember like the very ending and like the short story about the puppet, the third one. And like I always like thought it was like a really cool movie, and like I was always like really waiting for someone to release this movie because it was out of print, and then finally Scream Factory released it, and got around to watching it again all these years later when it got released. And yeah, I mean, now that I have matured as a movie watcher since I was 7, or 6 whenever I first watched it.
I would hope.
Yeah, I can see like all the themes that this movie has going for it, and I just really grew like such an appreciation for this movie, because like this really is to me like one of the most like brilliantly crafted like anthologies. I would even say like horror films that there is. Just the way like the themes go and how they're implemented into the story themselves, and like I think like this is just like a pretty perfect movie for me. Like I've just grown to like absolutely adore this movie like since I got around to watching it again.
Yeah, oddly enough, I think I've seen the scene like from the last segment on YouTube before. It was in a recommended section back in the day. I would just look up kind of horror movie clips and just weird stuff like that back in probably middle school. And so I saw this clip from the movie, and of course it's titled Tales from the Hood. And I remember back then thinking, like, what the heck is this? I thought it was a TV series just based on that title alone. So I saw that and then was like, oh, that was kind of weird. And then, of course, never really thought anything of it. So it's kind of weird seeing the movie now and seeing how it actually plays out and all that. But yeah, with this film, I pretty much dug every single segment in it. Some I like more than the others, of course, which of course you're always going to have your favorite and least favorite somehow. But comparing back to Hood of Horror, all these segments are very entertaining and very unique in their stories and lessons and things like that. And I think it really helps it. They're all very well done as well. And I was pretty entertained by them all. They're pretty much, you could almost argue, on equal levels with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, most anthologies have at least one weak segment, but I feel like this is one of the rare ones where they're all pretty solid. I, of course, have ones that maybe I like a little bit less than the others, but other than that, if I'm really just reviewing it as a whole, I think they're all really, really well made. And if I have to pick, honestly, I think the first one is actually my favorite, because I just think it's kind of that powerful message, and I think it's also very creepy what happens in it.
Yeah.
But this movie's also not supposed to be comedic at all, honestly, where the other one's more comedy horror. This one plays itself actually pretty seriously, with the opening. I feel like that's probably the most fun, is the wraparound, and the guys going to that house, and they say some funny lines like about, what do they say, like refried beans, and they're like, why do you gotta refry the beans, or whatever, or rice or whatever. So but all in all, it's pretty serious. It gets its messages across pretty well, and I really dug it. I would probably definitely go back to this one multiple times, where with the other one I would forget about and probably never watch again.
Yeah, this is one I probably watch like once a year. I don't necessarily think this is a fun watch. Like, to me, like, some of the stuff in this movie is like kind of uncomfortable to watch because of how like powerful the messages are. Because like one of the best things about this movie is because it's like really timeless. Like, it could have came out 30 years in the past, like when 4 came out, it would have been relevant then, and it's still relevant today, and probably still will be relevant, in the future, unfortunately. But like a lot of this, every short tackles, something, some issue, it'd be police brutality with the first one, like these racist cops and stuff like that. And the second one's like domestic violence. Third one's just like this racist dude running for office, and slavery and stuff like that. And last one is about gang violence. And yeah, they all get their message across like really, really well. And like the thing for me that like puts this video on another level is like you said, like all of these like stories, like I wouldn't say they're fun, but they're just really entertaining.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you just watch it and like you're just I get just entertained by what's happening. So yeah, I mean it's really tough for me to pick my favorite segment in this one. I pretty much like the first three. I pretty much would give like the first three probably like a 10 out of 10, like all of them. Like I just love the first three. I don't know which one I'd pick between those ones, but yeah, I mean it's just the subject matter like of like the messages it's getting across is pretty is rather serious. The first story, of course, you got these cops just beating the crap out and killing this black dude for no reason, and the second one with the dude beating his wife and his kid, and just stuff that's kind of touchy subjects, but this movie makes it like really entertaining, but yet really it gets the message across really really well as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, probably the first two I would say are my favorites. Third one I enjoyed as well. I think I actually got a phone call or something during it, and like it kind of threw me off from watching it. So I do want to rewatch it because I actually thought it was a pretty cool segment as well. And then the final one I think is good too, but I mentioned before. I mean, I know they use like real clips and stuff and that, and I don't really like seeing that in
I don't think anybody does
in a movie. I mean, it's a movie for a reason. I mean, I understand it's to really nail in the fact, like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, I came here to watch a movie, not to get too real. You can make your message without all that, but I understand why they did it. It's to really kind of nail it into your head. But overall, though, I mean, really no complaints other than that. I mean, everything's well acted. I think they got perfect characters for the roles. I mean, I think the messages come across perfectly, and all the segments are the perfect length, and yeah, pretty much mostly positive things to say about this flick. I am glad that I finally watched it, and as far as the dumb title goes, I mean, that's the complaint people have, but when you really think about it, I mean, it kind of, I guess, makes sense. It's kind of playing off of Tales from the Crypt, and then it's Tales from the Hood, and it's literally Tales from the Hood. So, I mean, what else? I couldn't really come up with a better title to call it, I guess. So that can get a pass. I could just see why, obviously, it worked for me, where it turns people off from finally watching the film. But now that I've watched it, I would like to rewatch it in the future. So definitely a good one.
Yeah, and then like the ending of this movie is like always like it's scary. I remember it scaring the crap out of me when I was a little kid watching it. Now I will say, like, on a technical aspect, like this film like wouldn't be considered like a masterpiece because like some of the effects are like really cheesy, and especially at the ending, like with them like in the fire and stuff like that, and
Oh yeah,
it looks
I know.
pretty bad. And like some of the acting is a little bit cheesy, but like the storytelling in this movie is like second to none. I mean, it's just really masterfully done, and yeah, cannot recommend this film anymore.
Yeah. So, are you ready to decide who won here?
Yeah, I think we already decided when the episode was made, but we might as well make it official.
Yes. So, Hood of Horror, best movie of all time.
That just completely contradicts everything you just said, but
No, just kidding. Yeah, okay, well, I mean, let's see, so I guess, okay. Tales from the Hood. I mean, this movie, I agree, it's pretty much a near perfect, arguably perfect film. I think, like you said, technical aspects aren't 100%, and I didn't necessarily dig the last story as much as I did the other ones, but that's really not a knock on the story itself because I think it's pretty well done. It's just the stuff in it's just a little too hard to watch, which that's not a huge complaint because it's doing the job right. But overall, I think this movie is solid. It's got rewatchability. All the shorts in it are well made and original compared to each other. They're all very different stories in themselves, and I appreciate that in a film. So I give Tales from the Hood a 9.5 out of 10.
Hey.
Yeah. And then guess I'll go ahead with Hood of Horror. So good old Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror. That movie, like I said, it shocked me. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to, not even be at all comparable to Tales from the Crypt, which, I mean, it's still, it's still not a major battle there, but it was a movie. It was well made. It took itself seriously, even though it had more comedy aspects to it. And I thought the shorts were actually all pretty well done, and they all at least formed a general story, but they just weren't as original as these shorts when it comes to comparing them all together. They kind of just follow the same basic, I guess, life lesson in those shorts, where this one, Tales from the Hood, is more, they're all kind of different lessons and stories going on there, and the effects in Hood of Horror are not that great either. The animation's cool, but it's not the best animation in the world. Snoop Dogg's not that great as being your central figure, and as I've mentioned, it's not really one that I would run back to and rewatch anytime soon unless I had an actual reason to. So that one, I think I might have rated it a 7 out of 10, but I think it's more, I would say it's more of like a 6.5 territory, just because it's really not that rewatchable.
Alright, so, yeah, for Hood of Horror, it really just, to sum it up, it really just is a really, really poor man's version of Tales from the Hood. Really, like, it's just, the themes are just all the same, it's just, not nearly as well done. None of the stories in Hood of Horror are half as good as any of the stories in Tales from the Hood. So, yeah, it's not too bad, but then again, like, I was, wanting the movie to end towards the end, so I'd probably give it like a 4.75 or something. Not too painful, but definitely will not be watching that movie again on my own time. Tales of the Hood, on the other hand, is, one of my favorite anthologies, and definitely one of my favorite horror films of all time. Definitely, like, around my top 15, I would say. I just think everything about it's, pretty much perfect for me. The ending is just so freaking cool, and all the stories are just really masterfully done. I'd still probably put this behind Trick or Treat when it comes to anthologies for me, just because I find Trick or Treat more rewatchable. A little bit more rewatchable than this film, but just an amazing film. So of course I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Damn.
So
all right.
We don't have to add this up, so we're just gonna say Tales from the Hood wins by a lot.
Yeah. 4.5 for Hood of Horror. Dang. Yeah, I was pretty generous with my rating, but yeah. So I guess that'll do it. Tales from the Hood is the winner here. Good film, well deserved. Yeah, you got anything else to say?
Yeah, as we can talk about what we're doing next episode. So we do have a special guest planned for next episode, and we are doing a pair of serial killer films, which is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which you haven't seen yet, so be curious to see what you think about that one, and American Psycho. So yeah, cannot wait to dig into those.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I've only seen American Psycho once, and I do have it on Blu-ray, so I've been wanting to rewatch that one for a while now, because I did enjoy it the first time around, and I know a lot of people love Henry, so I'm very excited for this next episode, as well as to have our special guest on. I think it shall be a pretty fun and interesting show, so definitely look out for that one. And as always, guys, let us know what you think of this episode. Feedback is always appreciated and welcome. So, yeah, let us know what you think, and that'll do it. As always, I am Carly, and that is...
Oh, Austin.
Yeah. And we are the M.V.M. Horror Podcast. What?
I feel like this is taking forever.
Do you want me to? You want me to be like, all right, everybody, thank you once again for listening to the M.V.M. horror podcast. As always, you can follow me at my links.
No, none of that.
All right, well, take what you can get then.
I
Okay.
guess.
All right, we're out of here.
Oh my god.
Outros.
That's how it's gonna end. Alright, we're out of here.